Ladies and gentlemen, yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen, how long has it been ever since you got to hear those words? Well, greetings, good day, and welcome back into the haunted world. Or was it the haunting world? I can't remember. Of Let's Play The Evil Within. Welcome back, welcome back. So, how long has it been, I wonder, ever since I finished the base game, as well as its two story-focused expansions, The Assignment and The Consequence. I believe about 3/4 of a year. Isn't that amusing? At the end of said project, I said that there would eventually be one final episode of us taking a look at the two model viewers here. I can't believe it took me this long, but here we are. I finally found the time. The year has certainly been a crazy one, but does it matter? Nope, because now we are here. Patience is a virtue, I say. It is indeed a virtue. Now, excuse me for a second as I clear my throat. Now, just a warning in advance, that's probably gonna happen a lot, because my throat, it does happen to be very dry today, but have no fear, I am going to be cutting out most of the, well, more unpleasant noises and such, as well as the pauses, etc., etc. You are in good hands. Now then, ladies and gents, it does feel good to be back once again, being able to talk to you, even though this is certainly a one-sided conversation taking place. Now then, what is left, here you ask, because after all, we beat the story. We defeated Ruben, as well as the administrator. Both Sebastian and Julie, they managed to escape the stem. So what is left? Of course, the model viewers. 2 of them in total, which we unlocked. The first by just beating the base game, and the second by collecting all of those hidden snails. Wasn't that a peculiar thing? Indeed. Now, is this going to be an interesting episode? The true finale of Let's Play The Evil Within? I suppose it depends. Basically, it is just going to be a chill one. There we go again. Just a chill video. I am going to be talking a lot, going down the list, reading those descriptions, and every now and then I might have something to add, but don't worry, I am gonna try to make sure that this video isn't gonna become too long. After all, aren't we all busy? In present times, everyone is busy, am I correct? Nobody knows anymore how to slow down. Perhaps just because of that, I am actually not going to be respecting your time. You might say that's cruel, but I say it is a gift which I am bestowing upon you. The gift of remembrance. Just stop and relax. That's important. I am here to remind you all of that. Now, enough postponing the inevitable. It's been 3/4 of a year. Time to get on with this already. And after that, I can finally deinstall this game from my hard drive. Yes, indeed. It has been installed all these months. Just because I knew that eventually I would want to make this here episode. Oh my, these are crazy times indeed. Now then, the first model viewer, here we go. Now, those of you who watched my playthrough of the base game should know that we already once did take a look at this for like a brief moment, but then I decided, there is just going to be an episode of extra content eventually, and that day happens to be today. Let's see what we have here. Lots and lots of characters indeed, as well as enemies. And those are certainly going to be the more interesting ones, because after all, we already learned more than enough about the human characters. But for the sake of completeness and such, let us begin with this fella right here. Ah yes, Sebastian Castellanos, the legend, age 38. Now, I am not going to be reading out loud the height and the weight, unless it is something extraordinarily, well, interesting, I suppose, something that's not normal, but the humans, who cares, really? Another second, please. Perhaps my throat is going to calm down eventually, but I do have some water here, just in case of an emergency, so have no fear. Alright, what do we got? A fine detective, but often court with people, often acts before thinking things through, indeed, making trouble for others. Joseph is the only partner he has had for a significant duration. Well, what's left to say about this guy? Sebastian, the man who amassed an arsenal and single-handedly, well, sort of brought down Ruben and his many subjects. It does certainly need to be said, not the most intelligent protagonist in the world. He never asked the important questions, such as, for example, why are there diary pages everywhere detailing my past life? How I lost my family? Certainly curious. This guy, so naive from start to finish, and at the end he thought he had obtained a clue, but no, he survived, but ultimately he managed to learn so little. Well, perhaps the sequel is gonna elaborate on a couple of things, like his past, for example. Have no fear, ladies and gents, have no fear. Another second, please. That'll just keep happening, get used to it. Alright, this guy, I mean, he survived, but what for? Is he gonna be able to learn more about the disappearance of his family, the Mobius Corporation or organization, whatever? What about all of that? Well, the sequel, like I already said, perhaps it is going to give us the answers. One day, but for now, let him rest, certainly, let him rest. Now, I do want to mention it is impossible to zoom in on these models there, but it is kind of a slow process. I might do it every now and then, but take a look at this. Move the camera using the arrow keys. Why the arrow keys? That is so awkward. I mean, how else would you do it? Perhaps it isn't awkward, perhaps it's simply all we got. And drag the mouse to rotate the camera, but this is so slow. Why is it so slow? I don't understand. Well, but there you go, Sebastian Castellanos. Moving on. Alright, next up we have got the same fella again, but wearing his trench coat. Whatever happened with that? I just kind of lost it after Ruben, first ambushed him. It was gone. That sweet trench coat, just gone. Sebastian's favorite coat. Given to him by his wife. I completely forgot about that. He wears it all year long and never seems to get it cleaned, right? Certainly a noir type of detective in a way. What happened to it, or with it, I wonder. Is it a case like Resident Evil 4, where Leon S. Kennedy's trench coat Was it a trench coat? No, but it was sort of a leather vest. Gets stolen, and then an enemy ended up wearing it, yeah, in one of the expansions. Was it an expansion even? It was called Separate Ways. Just like an additional mode, really, where you get to play as Ada Wong. Who knows? It's gone. Given to him by his wife, though. Damn. So that thing really connected him to her. It's a damn shame, isn't it? Moving on. Goodbye, Sebastian, for now. Here we have got the one and only Julie Kidman. Well, who would have thought? Age 27, who would have thought this character, who served such a, well, seemingly small purpose in the base game, that she would receive not one but 2 expansions, which were quite awesome. Kidman has little recollection of or interest in her past. Her only concern is what she has to do now, and what will happen if she fails. Well, she certainly did not fail, but she was so much smarter than, all of her allies. Smarter than Sebastian, definitely smarter than Joseph, of course, because she was an undercover agent and such. But the STEM certainly was not a pleasant experience. They did not tell her at all what she would be in for, but in the end she survived. She discovered the truth, so much more than Sebastian ever discovered, and she was able to stop the administrator, indeed. And she was able to break free of her own fears and such, moving on, moving up in the world, and kind of opposing Mobius even. But where exactly is that going to take her? She did save Sebastian in the end. Kinda sounded weird how I pronounced his name there, Sebastian. She did save him. What's gonna happen next? Yeah, once again, the sequel. It might elaborate further on this. Moving on. Yeah, as you can tell, I am not gonna zoom in with every single one of these characters. I am mainly here for the text. But there she is, Julie Kidman. I am gonna miss you. For now. She'll be back one day. Or rather, as a matter of fact, she'll be back right now. Because here she is again, Julie Kidman, wounded. Yeah. Oh my, the ordeal she had to endure. When encountered again in Ruvik's mental world, Kidman is badly wounded and very shaken up. Only she knows what happened to her while she was on her own. Indeed, that story was hers alone to tell. Just look at the poor gal. There, the shoulder all cut up, and so on and so forth. Yeah, she witnessed her fair share of horrors. Sebastian certainly wasn't the only one. Nope, he certainly was not. But she has gained some rest as well, like he did, so allow her to rest for now. Oh dear, and here we go, the 3rd member of the team, Joseph Oda. This guy. Where to even begin? I suppose the best way of describing him would be to say, what a waste of potential. Age 33, Joseph is a competent by the books. Is competent and by the books. I beg to differ. A reliable detective? I beg to differ. He is considerate of others, but hard on himself. Once he has made up his mind, like running into traps, for example, he sees things through to the end. His persistence often gets him into trouble, but he doesn't waver. This couldn't be more of. Now, I certainly see what they were trying to do with this guy. He is Sebastian's best friend and was always there for him, especially after he lost his family. Joseph was there to help him out whenever Sebastian would grab the bottle. Joseph, he even helped Sebastian keep his position at the KCPD. Right. This guy did so much. But in-game, he was basically just so bland. He didn't do anything intelligent, really. Oh yeah, sure, he disarmed a bomb every now and then. Great. But for the most part, we basically had to babysit him. Don't even get me started on... was it in Chapter 6? Yeah, I believe it was Chapter 6, oh my god. This guy, he was kind of handy with the axe. But again, you had to babysit him so much. He would run into tripwires, etc, etc. And throughout most of the game, Sebastian basically always needed to save him. Perhaps a kind of role reversal going on there. First it was him saving Sebastian, and then in the stem the other way around. Yeah, but ultimately at the end of the game, when he seemingly dies, it's a bit difficult to care for him, to care about his sudden demise. And it's even more difficult to care about the cliffhanger, which implies that Joseph survived and was taken away by Mobius. Yeah, poor Joseph. Well, at least they kind of gave him a neat boss fight in the assignment, even though he wasn't really himself and just a puppet conjured up by Ruvik. Joseph, you deserved so much better. I am just saying. Alright, here's one zoom in. I am gonna try to not forget about this. I'm gonna zoom in occasionally. Oh. And apparently I am also occasionally just gonna exit out. Well, Joseph, we barely knew thee. Now you, on the other hand, the nurse. Tatiana, we meet again. What a mysterious character, am I right? Age 38. Tatiana is a nurse in the locked ward at Beacon Mental Hospital. Seeing so many things that no one should ever have to see has left her emotionally dead, and eventually taken on an even greater toll. This poor lady, what is it she had to witness, to endure? We can only imagine, right? And why did she appear in the stem? I can only imagine because of, you know, a theory of mine that basically she was the nurse to take care of Leslie Withers, right? And because of her kindness, he remembered her and allowed her to continue existing inside the stem. And then she created that safe haven. Not only did she help him, but Sebastian and Julie as well. What a mysterious person, am I right? Bloody hell. She certainly was mysterious. At first she appeared to be evil, and over the course of the game you could never really be that sure. But ultimately I enjoyed meeting her all the time, saving my game, listening to her voice, allowing one to gain moments of respite. I mean, the whole safe haven was just a great concept. Will that ever stop? I don't know. It was a great concept, kind of like, you know, the apartment from Silent Hill 4, The Room, and how it slowly changed over the course of the game, falling apart more and more. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it a lot. But ultimately, she faded away, because Ruvik got to her. Bloody hell. He took her away from us. It's not fair. It's definitely not fair. But whatever happened to the real Tatiana, I wonder? Was she just thrown into the stem, like so many others, to die lost and alone? I don't think we'll ever find out. Well, rest in peace, Nurse Tatiana, and thanks for everything. Should I? Alright, and come on. Here's one quick zoom, because why not? There she is, Tatiana. We are going to miss you, alright? Going to miss you. You and your creepy attitude. Next up, Leslie Withers. This poor boy. Age 25. I thought that he was younger than that. Leslie has always compensated for his difficulty communicating by unconsciously emulating the thoughts of others. How does that even work? This characteristic is what Ruvik sought for his experiments in linking consciousness. Yeah. I don't want to go into too much detail about him, because his story was certainly tragic. Apparently, he lost his parents in a violent way, I believe. What did the note say? They were murdered? I think so, I could be wrong. But then he got sent to Beacon, and the rest is history. Ruvik discovered him, and then Dr. Jimenez discovered him. This poor boy was basically just a tool for everyone, a tool for evil, and a tool for us, the good guys, to make it out of the stem. And what happened to him, ultimately? Ruvik, he did achieve his goal. He basically fused with Leslie. Through Leslie, he was able to leave the stem behind, to start a new life. But what is he going to do with it? Did that even actually happen, or was it just in Sebastian's head? Well, I mean, Leslie's body, it was gone at the end. After he awakened, he just up and left. But it wasn't Leslie. This poor boy. There was never any hope for him. He should have died. Someone should have shot him. That would have been best for everyone involved. And who exactly is involved? Well, only the world now. Because who knows what Ruvik might be up to. Rest in peace, Leslie Withers. Rest in peace. That poor boy. Surrounded by barbed wire. He was always a prisoner and was never able to escape. I am so sorry. Alright, moving on to the bad guys now. Oh my, the true devil himself, Dr. Marcelo Jimenez. Age 15, Marcelo is a doctor who performed clandestine experiments on the patients of Beacon Mental Hospital, working in collusion with a foreign organization, Mobius. The organization had him instated as head of the hospital, but he ultimately disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Oh my, I am not going to unwrap this guy's story again. But he basically had a part in it all. He discovered Ruvik when he was just a young boy, discovered him, and also his, well, sick mind. And he saw potential. He basically, he taught Ruvik how to be a better, a more efficient scientist, but eventually lost control of him. Marcelo, he used Ruvik's work. He wanted to, well, improve his standing with Mobius. He wanted to be given more power, more attention, and eventually he stole Ruvik's ideas, his work, his technologies and such, and created the stem. I am not sure anymore who created the first one, the prototype, but Marcelo, without him, you could say that the evil within basically would not have happened. This guy, he gave the stem to Mobius, an all-powerful organization that controls the world, in a way. And all the way to the end he thought that he could regain control. He even sold out Ruvik, and they dissected him. And even though at first he was like, oh no, what have you done? He quickly realized, no wait, this is good. This means I can keep my position, and so on. In the end, he lost control. He entered the stem, trying to fix things, but could not. Ultimately, Ruvik disposed of him, and he didn't even do it himself. He sent one of his pets to take care of the job. This guy, he did so much. It's crazy how much this guy did to cause the events of the game. And one can only hope that his soul is gonna burn in hell forever. doctor. All in the name of science, am I correct? I've got nothing more to say to you. Moving on. Oh dear. Perhaps one of the greatest victims in all of this, Laura Victoriano, Ruvik's sweet, innocent sister. She was only 17 at time of death. I suppose this confirms it then. She did actually die. Ruvik's beautiful and generous sister, the only one who understood him. In life she preferred to wear red. Yeah, and in the stem she became a hideous spider abomination that killed us many, many times. Laura. Nothing that can be said about her, really. Nothing at all. She burned to death. She never showed any ill intent towards anyone. She tried to take care of Ruvik as best she was able to. And then she got scarred, and she died. The fire consumed her. Sweet, sweet innocence defiled. What caused Ruvik to become a madman? And speaking of, yes indeed, speaking of, there he is. Indeed, the antagonist himself in the flesh. Ruvik, better known as Ruben Victoriano. Darius, age 37 at time of disappearance. Definitely doesn't look the age, I have to be honest. Cut off from the outside world, Ruvik continued his experiments, research rather, alone until one day a fire broke out in his basement laboratory. His body was never found among the smoldering remains of his once proud mansion. Definitely something he caused, right, to bury the past and move on. Just like with Dr. Jimenez, I am not going to unwrap this guy's story either. It is too big. But what this guy had to endure, how he became this madman who invented the stem and tormented so many people, killing them all, torturing their souls forever and ever, creating monsters, becoming the god of the stem. It's crazy. To this day, this guy remains one of my favorite horror game villains. It is simply such an interesting experience to slowly but surely uncover his tale. All the things that happened. But ultimately, it is a bit difficult to feel sympathy for him, towards him, because even though he suffered a lot, what he caused, it just can't be ignored. All those people who did not deserve their fate, you know? There is such a thing as vengeance, revenge, etc., etc., retribution, but it's easy to go overboard, and this guy definitely jumped the shark. Oh my, Ruvik, whatever are you up to now? But wait, we aren't done yet. Have a quick zoom. Yeah, definitely not a lovely sight to behold. Moving on. Here we have got him again, Ruvik, but without his rope. Oh dear. Certainly not a pleasant sight to behold. Half of his skull missing there, his brain exposed, something covering it, basically, all those burn marks, etc. Vicious burns have left the skin senseless and useless for regulating his body temperature. Ravaged by ceaseless headaches and physical and mental seizures, he was known for being close to the physical limits of his body. Yeah, again, exactly what I am talking about. This guy, he had to endure so much. He didn't just become evil from one day to the next. Lots and lots of factors definitely Lots and lots of factors definitely contributed to that outcome. But still, it's difficult to have sympathy for this guy. But bloody hell, in a way I'd like to. I'd like to feel sorry for him. But he doesn't deserve it. He simply does not. Ruvik. God damn it. If only you could have noosed. Noosed? What the hell? I think, yeah, I've been talking for how long already? Half an hour? My words, they are starting to fall apart. But we are not done yet. Maybe there's going to be a second part to this? We'll see. Depends really. Depends. I suppose this is going to become a long video, after all. But what was I about to say there? I said news? Accidentally? What was I going to say? I want to feel sorry for him. Right, but I've forgotten. I'm sorry, but I don't think it would have been important. Moving on. What's next? Ruvik again? Jesus, can't get a break. This time, the child version. Ruben, Victoriano. Origins. Darius. Look at him. Definitely not a child that is gonna grow up to become a mastermind of evil. Age 10, child-aged Ruvik, when he still retained a shred of innocence. At this age, he began showing glimpses of his morbid interests, doing things like dissecting small animals. Didn't help, of course, that his parents weren't really there to pay attention to him. Maybe his mother was, but his father certainly did not care. He was too busy attending church, being a head of the church, even. A church that was very much corrupt through and through. That did not help the situation. And his mother, I don't know. To the end, she just wanted to help her children. And after Laura died and Ruvik disappeared, because his father locked him in the basement of the manor, the mother didn't even know. The father basically told her that her son had died. Can you believe it? And Ruvik didn't know either that his mother was searching for him. He just assumed they were both against him, so he killed them. Bloody hell. It's all coming back to me now, exploring the Victoriano estate. Definitely still one of the best chapters of the game, in my opinion. Moving on though, moving on. Are we done now with Ruben, Victoriano? Nope, we are not. They don't wish to give us a break. Bloody hell. Darius again, but this time scarred after the fire. Christ almighty. Age 10 still. Ruvik lost his sister in a fire that is believed to have been set by local villagers. He underwent lengthy and painful rehabilitation, during which, oh dear, he met Dr. Jimenez, the man who would change his life. I've got nothing more to say about him. Ruben. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Even though you killed so many people, I can't help it. I feel sorry for you. Jesus Christ. What a tragic villain indeed. But, moving on, are we done with you now, I wonder? Nope. Someone is pulling my leg here. It just keeps going and going. With this guy, the well, how deep does it go? Young adult Ruben. This guy had so many models, bloody hell. Age 18 now, 8 years later. Coming of age, young Ruvik rejected further skin regeneration treatments, instead retreating into his basement laboratory. One does have to wonder, had he continued with the treatments, would that have been able to maybe fix him somewhat? Would that have led him down a different path? Who knows? Who knows? But shortly after this, he joined Mobius. And at the age of his apparent death, right, he was 38? Let me quickly check again. No, 37, at time of his disappearance. 1 year off, but damn, how long did he work? For Mobius. And before that, how long did he work on his own? Abusing the donations, right? No. Were they? The donations of Dr. Jimenez? Perhaps, but it's crazy. Bloody hell. What a can of worms, am I right? Moving on. Are we done with you now? As much as I feel sorry for you, I don't want you staring at me any longer, Ruvik. Here we go. At last, ladies and gents, it is time to take a look at and talk about the enemies of the evil within. And this is certainly going to be quite intriguing, because, just like in Silent Hill, for example, most of these enemies, they do have sort of a meaning attached to them, something they represent and embody. Now, what exactly could these things be? Let us find out. First, we have got the alter ego. I believe I just called them double heads, right? The result of connecting a subject with a dissociative identity disorder, to the STEM device. The dominant and alternate personalities blend into a single two-headed creature. Damn. Certainly intriguing. Basically, there is a second persona beneath the surface trying to break free, only in this case a monstrous one. Yeah, I believe we first encountered these in chapter 7? Either 7 or 8, basically in the catacombs beneath Cedar Hill Church. 1 second. Yeah, and then the more, well, the more naked variations, those appeared in the caves, right? After the church? Hold on again. Oh boy, my throat is really struggling, but we are getting there. Right, these guys. They were certainly not that special. I mean, gameplay-wise, basically just the bullet sponges. But it was certainly fun to blow off their heads with the sniper rifle. And as you can see there, that strange tentacle up above here, they possessed that sort of ability. Basically, if you stand too close to them, they can expose that tentacle and kill Sebastian instantly. My oh my. And one can certainly see the inspiration here. Yeah, I imagine that John Carpenter's The Thing might have had something to do with the creation of these guys. And where else did they appear? The subway at the end of the game, right, for example. And let us not forget about Ruvik's funhouse. I believe they appeared there as well. Basically, the basement beneath the manor. I could be wrong, but yeah, good riddance, I say. Good riddance. These poor people, though. Damn. Moving on. Next up, we have got this fella, the sadist. I called him the butcher. Equipped with his chainsaw, and towards the end of the game even occasionally a damn rocket launcher. A creature born from the mind of a murderer, merged with Ruvik's madness. Certainly a lovely recipe. He has lost himself to rage, becoming murderousness personified. I like that phrase, becoming murderousness personified. That's awesome. Yeah, did this guy ever decapitate us? I believe he did so once? I could be wrong though, but this guy, I mean, with a horror game like this, you basically need to have an enemy equipped with a chainsaw. I mean, it all started with Resident Evil 4, and has been a theme, or just like a thing, a gimmick, whatever, ever since, right? This guy, I do have to say, I definitely enjoyed the stealth section from the beginning of the game the most, having to evade his attention, that was quite neat. Fighting him later on, it was cool, but I don't know. He basically just became a regular enemy. Those encounters weren't boring by any means, but I just believe, especially with a chainsaw-wielding enemy, stealth sections can be quite effective. After all, you really don't want to be discovered. Well, we certainly killed a lot of him. A lot of him sounds a bit wrong. A lot of them, oh well. But now he is gone, and we'll never need to see the sadist again. Right? We'll never need to see him again. Right? Why is there a hint of doubt in my voice? I don't know. Moving on. Here we have got, Zehn. Yes indeed, one of the two giants. The other one being here, 9. Two German numbers, in case you don't know. Basically 10 and 9. Yeah, these guys, they served as mini-bosses, and they also showed up during Julie's journey. Twin orphan, abandoned and raised in a laboratory beneath the cemetery. Why? The more cowardly of the two, Zehn lashes out violently at those he doesn't know and is usually kept chained up. Basically just another tragic victim. More cowardly, eh? Is that the reason why he is wielding that, whatever it is? Well, these two, they showed up out of nowhere. But it was entertaining enough fighting them. And then one of them killed Julie, I believe, a couple of times. Because why not? Just crushing her skull. Delightful times. Indeed, delightful times. And what about your brother? Again, twin orphan abandoned, blah blah blah. 9 is never at ease and gets worked up so easily that he is made to wear a mask that covers his eyes and ears. Indeed. That chain attached to his chest. Why? Why is that necessary? Poor fella. Didn't even see what killed him. Right. The only thing I can say about these two? Rest in peace. Certainly. Not a fate that anyone deserves. And once again, I mean, who knows how they met their end in the real world? In the stem, they became this, we killed them. But in the real world? I have no idea. Moving on. Next up, oh my, definitely a fan favorite. Perhaps my favorite enemy as well, of the entire game. Perhaps of the entire The Evil Within franchise. The one and only Keeper. Look at this guy. Let us zoom in. Let us take a good look. What's not to love about this guy's design? A creature created from a blend of Ruvik's final memories before he was dismembered, and his fury at having his research stolen from his safe. Anyone who approaches the safe is killed, and their severed head added to those in the sack. There. Right, so there was definitely some important meaning behind the existence of this creature. Just take a look at his head. I mean, it's in a way genius, is it not? That safe, covered in barbed wire, and you don't know what's in there. And this guy, I mean, he never spoke a single word, because of course he can't, but he kinda looks like a human, and it's that weird combination which makes him quite enticing. I mean, on the one hand you've got creatures like Pyramid Head, right? And I am pretty sure that guy served as the main inspiration. Yeah, his existence created the Keeper. On the one hand that, on the other, I don't really know where I am going with this, but I just love this guy. I really enjoyed his main gimmick, that he can basically just kill himself, for example, and then respawn as long as there are other saves around. My first time experiencing that, it was terrifying. You couldn't kill him, you couldn't get away from him. And he knows it. He knows how to take advantage of that. It's crazy. And his traps too. I really think there should have been more of this guy throughout the base game. I mean, of course, he is kind of a continuous presence, like throughout the middle portion of it. You first encounter him in the safe haven, of all places, and then of course he makes his grand appearance in the catacombs beneath the church, and you need to deal with his traps and so on and so forth. Eventually you end up killing him, but he does return, and it's not really clear how many there are in total. I just I would have liked to see a little bit more of him. You know, not so much that he would have outstayed his welcome, but a little bit more traps, you know, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, I am happy with what we got. This guy, without a doubt, one of the best characters of the game. And it is such a shame that we lost him so soon. But, you know, nothing good ever lasts forever, and we'll never see him again. Right? We'll never see this guy again. Right? Why is there a hint of doubt? Once more, I don't know. Oh dear, my throat, it is certainly dying now. I wonder if I should continue, because there are still quite a few models left to examine. Perhaps we should end it here for now. I mean, why not make this a two-parter? And to end it on such a high note here, with the Keeper, I think that's alright. This guy, yeah, he is going to be the finale of this extra episode. And next time, who exactly are we going to start with? Here's a short preview, ladies and gents. Trauma. So that's the name of these guys. I completely forgot. I called them the Crucified or the Tormented, but Trauma? Yeah, I imagine being in this kind of position can certainly be one. But we are going to learn more about this fella next time. Ladies and gentlemen, yes indeed, for now I am just going to give you my usual outro. Thank you all for watching, thank you for still being here. I can't believe it either, that the evil within has returned, that I have returned after many weeks. Yeah, I have returned after weeks, and this game has returned after months. It's great. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and next time we are going to be taking a look at the second half of these models here, as well as the second model viewer concerning Julie and her adventures. Until then, have a good one, and take good care of yourselves. Be safe out there, most importantly.